Hmm. Hey guys. Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to you guys for a while. You know, just to just to get in the habit of just talking to whomever who wants to, I guess, listen to me. I'm so frustrated today, stressed out, kind of sick and tired. I guess to give you an idea what I'm talking about is that to kind of paint a little bit of a picture for you. I'm a I'm a drug addict. I'm also an alcoholic. Have been my entire life. I've never known anything different. I've been Actually, my clean date is coming up this month, the 21st of February. I'm still amazed that it's going to be 4 years since I've touched any drugs or alcohol. But here's about my, I've never really dealt with anything or take responsibility for anything my entire life. Everything I've taken for granted, and I don't know, maybe this is karma, maybe, or maybe I'm being challenged to see if I'll, break right down. Because sometimes I feel like I'm getting close. Sometimes. But prior to me getting clean, I my house my house got taken over by some drug lords and some gangbangers. You know, for a long time I wasn't allowed to leave the house or my room for that matter. You know, can't had 8 close calls with the Grim Reaper. It's a miracle that I'm alive. Today I actually appreciate life, and I don't want to die, which is kind of helped me stay clean. But so, prior to me getting clean, between you know my last days in my house, I had my head caved in with a sledgehammer. You know, ended up using crazy glue to stick my head back together. Was duct tape taken out to duct taped to a chair, taken out to another town to be tortured. I managed to I managed to escape and spent the day hiding under vehicles and in people's yards until it got dark, and then tried to hitchhike back to the town I was from. And I'm getting picked up by the by the cops because someone reported that there was some guy walking out in the highway, and so I got picked up by the cops and kind of told them my situation, and they ended up calling an ambulance, and ambulance picked me up off the highway and took me to the closest town hospital, where I spent a couple days. While I was in the hospital, I found out that my house got raided, and there must have been about 20 people that just scattered, went everywhere. mental health paid for a taxi cab for me to get back to town. The town that I lived in, it was like a $300 taxi ride. That was crazy. But when I got back into town, the house that I used to live in was all boarded up, and I lost everything. All I had was a shirt on my back, and I was in it was for the first time. Well, actually, I guess second time for detox, but I was on a wait list to get into detox, and I was about 4 days clean and sober, and sitting in the day room of where I was having some lunch one afternoon, and got talking about my story, and ended up getting into treatment that very night. Well, I worked really hard on myself, and because of the situation, for the longest time I was afraid to even walk up the street. But it took a long time for me to not be afraid to be by myself, to not be afraid to walk down the street or to go to a store. I remember, or I spent 20 months in that treatment center. 20 months. The good thing was, is like when I got in there, I mean, they they would like you to commit to 6 months to a year, and I committed myself to a year, and thank God, when the year was up, it's not like, okay, well, you did your year, now, you're back on the street, because if that was the case, I would have been screwed. I probably would have been back using for sure. I would have been back on the street. But the cool thing was, is they let you stay until you find a place to live. That's why I ended up being there for 20 months. And then, well, I've never had a place on my own in a long time, and every other time I always messed it up. So, where I'm living right now, I've been here, well, as of November that just passed, would be 2 years. So just over 2 years I've been here, straight out of treatment. But it was through an organization that helped get me this place, which so my rent was a little bit cheaper and a little bit more affordable, and they were helping me out with subsidy, and well, as well as my rent being a bit cheaper, and they were also paying my hydro, which really helped. But and then out of the blue, well, as of the December that just passed, told that, oh, well, the program is closing, and so you're all graduating, which means I take over my own lease, which is not a big deal. I feel that I can handle it now. But, I was giving that organization, they were taking care of my rent for me, so, but I was giving them $8.90 a month, which took care of my rent, my hydro, and their fee for having me in the program, which was like, from what I heard, $75 or something like that. So, which makes it sound like my rent was kind of cheap. But then, when I took over my lease, well, my rent went up to $1,000, and then, well, I just started paying I was paying my hydro before. I was just giving it straight to the organization, but okay, so now I got to pay my own hydro. Well, they turn around and tack on a deposit, right? So my first bill is almost $300, right? But going through the wrong line ordeal, whatever. I was able to set up the equal monthly payment thing, so that worked. But the lowest I could get it was where I still had to give them at least $72 a month. I mean, no, I can't really afford it, but somehow I'll manage it until the deposit's paid off. But so I've been paying them since December, giving them $72 a month. And bloody hell, today I get a disconnection notice. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? Well, I thought I was on this equal monthly thing. Well, it turns out that I am, but apparently the equal payment thing doesn't count towards your deposit. So, which doesn't make any sense because I mean, my first bill was like $248 or something like that, and then so I gave them 72, which made it like still like 170 something or whatever. And then when I got my next bill after that, it showed that, well, first it's saying that how I didn't, well, I didn't stress to how I didn't pay the whole thing, but it also showed though the $72 equal monthly thing. But again, so this time it was 72.54, whereas my actual hydro cost was like $55 or something like that. And either way, the last couple months, it's like even though the first month my hydro was like $35 or something, the next month it was like $55 or something like that. I'm not sure what it is this month, but so each month it's like really only 12 or $14, if that, is going to the actual bill itself. So I called them and managed to get them to, after I swore a little bit, but I really tried to hold back because I knew I was going to make things worse because I was verbally getting really mad. So I'm not getting cut off yet, but on the 25th of February, I got to pay them $175, and then my March bill will be out by the 13th of March, where they're wanting another hundred and whatever dollars. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I don't understand why is it working out like this? But get this, prior to that, right? So, I took over my lease December 1st, and I knew shit was gonna mess up, right? So the money that I was getting from the ministry, because I'm on disability, so they were sending my rent or whatever directly to this organization that was paying my rent. And then, but when I took over my new lease, or when I took over my own lease, and they're no longer looking after me, well, they turned around and told me that they sent the money back to the ministry. Meanwhile, the ministry is telling me that they cashed it. Meanwhile, my rent went up to $1,000, so that's $110 more than what I was paying this organization. And then same with my deposit. Before I was my deposit through them to the organization was three something, where I had to give my landlords five something, five. which is fine. When I got the damage back from that organization, I just gave it straight to my landlord, which is fine. But it took almost 3 months, December, January, well, 2 months before, because see, the thing is because my rent is so high, and with all the bills that I'm paying in that, I just, well, before too long, I'm being kicked out. So, so ask or the organization is helping me for only for a year, or I guess what they call long-term subsidy help or whatever they call. So they're giving me $250 towards my rent for up to a year. But again, I don't know what I'm gonna do when that's done. I'm trying to come up with ways to make an extra income. I know there's no way between all my YouTube channels. There's no way in hell I'm gonna have anywhere close to the amount of subscribers that I would need before I can even generate any AdSense. So I'm trying to stay consistent with that. But if I get cut off with hydro, well, I won't be able to cook and I won't be able to put any more content on online. And then what? I was just supposed to stare at the walls, twiddle my thumb with my cat, and maintain my sobriety. I mean, obviously, my sobriety comes first. So, I mean, that's number one. And, like I said, I don't want to die. And, I went through so much trauma before I finally got a clue and didn't want to live like that anymore. But I've never known any other way to live. So, everything that I've been doing since I've been clean and sober is all been brand new to me. And half the time I just feel dumb and stupid because I'm trying to learn all these new things and at the same time keep myself accountable. And so I'm so busy at trying to accomplish all these things, and being by myself is hard too. But when I keep hitting these freaking walls, like, I mean, I'm doing the best that I can, even though before I just didn't care, and I didn't, I want to take responsibility for my life. My life is so much better today. And I'm just, and then trying to deal with the frustration too. It's so hard sometimes because the only person I can yell at is myself, and well, I'm just sick of listening to myself, and maybe I'm just sick of listening to myself whine and complain about all these walls that I keep hitting, because it's not in my control. But if I'm doing everything I can, or doing everything that I think is what's right or what's the next right thing, and yet there's still these things that are, I don't know, trying to bring me down, or like I said, these maybe these extra challenges, or maybe I'm being tested to see if I'll break. I won't break because you know I have goals today, and there's things that I would like to do, or well, there's things that I would, yeah, that when I am laying on my deathbed, I don't want to be looking back, especially if I'm still sitting there alone. I don't want to be looking back and say, man, everything was for nothing. I don't want my life to be for nothing. And with all these little things that keep going against me, like not having any teeth or not being able to wear my teeth or being partially blind because my glasses broke and not being able to get my glasses fixed and you know all these things that are pushing me back. And all I'm trying to do is the next right thing and do it sober and clean and maybe become part of something that's way bigger than myself, whatever that means or looks like. I mean, obviously that's not gonna happen sitting in my living room, but at least, with the content that I'm putting out there every single day, I mean, that's gotta help a little bit, right? I'm trying so hard. And then there's my health too. It's not like, it's not like I'm unhealthy, but because I've been through so much trauma that for some stupid reason my nervous system is stuck in fight or flight mode, which is one of the reasons why I haven't been able to sleep since I've been clean and sober. And why, when I fall asleep on my arm or something the wrong way, or from either leaning on a computer piece or something, even falling asleep in a chair, and next thing I can't pick up a cup or put on a jacket for 3 to 6 months. All just from pinching a bloody nerve. Even like my ankles, feet, my legs, they've been, even though I'm not in pain, but they've been swollen for 4 fucking years. Sorry, 4 years, right? But I've learned though that a lot of things that's causing this, well, between you know my nervous system is, well, one part. That's mostly the reason why I don't sleep properly, but I got too much sugar running in my body and not enough insulin balancing me out, or maybe I got that backwards, right? So again, it's all I got is just me to keep me accountable. So I'm constantly trying to do these different things to balance that out. And again, right? I don't have extra money. I don't have like there's so many things. Sure, I would like to be a part of if I had the extra cash. I'm working on it. And I know it can't happen overnight as much as I wish it would, but I don't got the same kind of skill as some of viral these people that go viral overnight. I wish I had that kind of population, but maybe if I would have been more involved back in like 2016, I might have had more viral blood in me. Hell, I was living a crazy life. It's too bad that wasn't all documented, but then again, that probably would have really screwed up my future. But today I keep myself as an open book because it's the only way I can make sure that I stay I stay clean and sober. You know, when I was in treatment and everybody around me was still using and dying around me, and you know, all that did was remind me every day that, you know, I don't ever want to go back there again, because that's kind of how I was living, except for I had a house and I thought I was doing good until I wasn't. I mean, what I would like to do is I would like to get moved out of this town that I live in, and I've been stuck here since 1998. And it's funny because when I first got here, I was in the coast. Like, I'm in Canada, so I was on the coast and hopped a freight train as far as a couple of towns over, and then hitchhiked. And then the town I'm in right now, I didn't even know it was on the map. You know, I lived a traumatic and fucked up crazy life, and I'm 53 years old. Everybody around me is dying so young, or who look old so young. Even pretty well most of my family, if not all my family. I mean, I do have some half sisters out there that I've tried reaching out to, but I don't know. It feels like they don't want anything to do with me. But I can't change that. I mean, wasn't a very good person when I was in active addiction, and that's all I ever knew. But I'm a different guy today, trying to keep my shit together, get my shit together, and keep it together. And this is the first time I've ever tried to get recovery. The first time I've ever had recovery. And again, I don't want to die, so I don't think relapse will become part of my story, because that's all it will take is just one, and that could be the end. Wow. I've been wanting to make this video for a while. So anybody who actually does watch it will learn a little bit more about me. I do have a couple of recovering channels. If you guys want to check it out, one's Just for Today Daily Reading by John Clayton. The other one's Spiritual Principle a Day by John Clayton. I also read a bit out of the basic text in the Living Clean book, as well as the daily readings. But you know, it's one way to keep me in tune with the books every single day, and it gives me an excuse to share it with all of you guys, and or at least the ones that show up to those channels. And then I got my art channels or my AI channels, and you know, which I love messing around with too. You know, I'm just a nobody trying to be somebody, and I'm still trying to figure out me. Anyway, you know what? I'll just I'll call it there, and if anybody does watch this video, you know, thanks for listening. Anyway, this is just me ranting, really. Somebody else's drama, I guess. Okay. Thanks, guys, for checking in with me. Or maybe it's more like me checking out with you guys. Or checking in with you guys. Or I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just know that I'm frustrated. Well, actually, I'm kind of a little less frustrated now that I've ranted on camera. But still, though, man, I gotta deal with this shit, and ever since, because one of the one of the gifts of my recovery is the fact that I was able to go to college. I was able to get a certificate in computer computer animation and modeling. But the shitty thing is, it was during COVID, so I had to do it at home, and so I was in a classroom with a bunch of people online, most of which never even kept the cameras on. I think I was the only one. But still, though, I mean, it was an 18-month program, and I started when I was still in treatment, and then I carried on when I moved into my place, and I graduated, and I passed everything, and I did really well, better than I expected. But that would never happen if I was still in active addiction. But then I'm working on doing models every day and like, creating shit every day. I even set a resolution where I was drawing every single day for a year, but then the thing happened where I couldn't use my side for for 3 months. I couldn't even hold a cup of coffee or lift my arm for that matter. All because I fell asleep on the computer. But because my nervous system and everything is all messed up inside my body, and like I said, I'm stuck in that fight or flight mode. So it constantly, every time I don't have problems falling asleep. I just have problems staying asleep, right? And because my nervous system thinks that every time I shut my eyes, that maybe something's gonna happen. But what it has to realize is I've been safe for 4 years. So can't you get a clue? And even though because I'm struggling with my vision right now because these here are reading glasses, like magnification glasses, and then what I call my cyclops eye, I use this as with these just so I can read my daily readings. So the ones that do come to my channel see me with my cyclops eye are probably just laughing at me on the other side of the channel, on the other side of the tube. But that's okay. I mean, it's for me it's a matter of showing up every day for myself and for you guys if you happen to show up to my channel. But anyway, think I've already said goodbye once or twice already, so let's try that again. I'll say goodbye, and I would like to send do more videos like this. But yeah, because I just want to meet some people and and collaborate, maybe on some projects or something, or I just want to be a part of something that I can talk to the right people with the same kind of interests that I have, and Maybe even create something with somebody. That'd be fantastic. Or maybe that's just my loneliness talking. But I would love to collab with somebody. Anyway, okay. That's it. Goodbye. Bye bye. Thanks for listening, everybody. I love you guys, and I'll, I'm sure I'll have something else to rant about eventually. Oh, I exercise every day too now, or I have been for the last 100 or so days. Started off with one exercise, and I'm up to like 8 that I do every single day, and I've been staying consistent at it too, which are squats, arm curls, leg stances, standing high march, knee push-ups. Um, what else? Horse stance. Yeah, and some days it's been a bit tougher than other days, and but I've been staying consistent of it. It's because I have no teeth why I talk this way. It's I've been staying consistent at it, and even consistency isn't something, or patience isn't something that I'm familiar with, but I'm getting to know patience real well. Between patience and my cat Mittens, they're both like my best friend. And on that note, I'll say my goodbye this time for sure. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you soon.